So I guess we should get started. I hope that you guys are comfy because we're going to go on a little bit of a ride together. The expectation is that this is intergenerational. That means that there are elements of this that are a little bit more highbrow, a little bit more sophisticated. And there's also one slide that I would say is like PG. Okay, it's not adult content, but there is one that if you're watching with young kids, it mentions some violence. So you might want to sort of take the kids out of the room for that one, and I'll tell you which slide it is. So let me share my my desktop with you.
Hi, Leah.
Okay, sharing. Hello. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We're good.
That is Israel Intergenerational Learning. Silver linings juice, making lemonade from lemons. Okay, I clearly had fun playing around with this. So before we actually start, some of the early birds who got here a little bit earlier had a chance to sort of check in and stuff like that and schmooze a little bit. But I just wanted to like make sure, especially for our younger crowd, just give an opportunity to check in, see everybody's doing. How's school going? Bueller?
I don't know how it's going.
It was good.
It's good? Yeah?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're like kind of closed down, so.
So it's not school yet?
Nope.
Does anybody have classes?
They're doing like, at least for Haverford, they're doing like online.
It's not muted, so they can hear everything, okay?
Wait, what's happening?
Someone else is joining.
We see more people.
Okay, we're just doing this check-in. Okay, present. Does everyone see what I'm looking at?
I can't.
We see you.
We see you.
Me, okay. Technology, the power of technology when it fails. Okay.
That's exactly how he said it.
Yeah, that's how this works. Oh, I see that my son is not.
I see a little you, yes.
Okay. So just want to check in, make sure everyone's okay. Just so everybody knows, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to mute everyone. I'm going to mute everyone. If you have something to say, you should be able to raise your hand. Okay? That's a thing that you can do. You can, no, not actually physically raise your hand. On the chat, there's an ability to raise your hand. That way I can see you guys and do this. So why don't we do this way? We're going to do a little bit of a screen share. Let's just do desktop one, share. Okay, great. I'm gonna present and we'll see how this works. Okay, so awesome. So today I was traveling around the internet as I do as a local rabbi, and I stopped on one of my favorite websites that every rabbi loves. It's called Safaria. If you don't know what Safaria is, it's a real website. It's a website that allows you to look at really every Jewish text that's ever been published, and from the Torah to the Mishnah to the Talmud. Your teachers use it all the time for Makom, and definitely the rabbis use it all the time for Makom. So very, very excited. And I found a verse that I thought resonated with me, considering what's going on in the world right now and how sort of insane and crazy the world is. So I'll just read it for everyone. Ruach ish yichakel michaleelo v'ruach nechea mi yish'a'ena. A man's spirit can sustain him through illness, but low spirits, who can bear them? That is to say that we find ourselves in a moment where we are surrounded by illness, and it is very easy to find ourselves in low spirits. It's very easy to get sort of down and concerned about what's going on in the world. And frankly, it would make sense even to be maybe even a little bit scared. And that's a normal response. My goal in this session for all of us is to explore some of those feelings maybe a little bit, but also, and much more importantly, think about ways in which we can work through, and if Jewish tradition has any parallel stories that we can look at, and maybe if there's an archetype for us to sort of build our lives around, and sort of ideals and values that we can act on in this moment of crisis. So let us continue along. So the question I have is, how do we do it? How do we actually do this? What do we do? Does anybody have any sort of an idea as to how we would actually do it? I mean, if you're with other people, talk to them, ask them, how do you think we sustain ourselves in this moment and make sure that our spirits don't get too low? What do you do if you're with your kids? You can unmute yourself if you want to, if someone has something that they want to share in particular. But it's a question that clearly vexes me so much, I'm having it spin over and over again on our screen. So I have an answer, or I think our tradition has an answer, and I think modern pop psychology even has an answer.
But Rabbi,
Yes.
can I jump in? It's Naama.
I know.
Maybe our younger friends can say, how are they doing it this week?
That's a great idea, Naama.
Give us ideas how you keeping yourself busy and happy in this interesting time.
I don't think we should limit that
share?
Naama, I don't think we should limit that necessarily to our younger folks. I think we can ask everyone, how are you doing it? I think that's an important thing.
I think I can say something.
Go for it.
What I told my kids when we start with this, I said, listen, it's everybody. It's not just you that can go anywhere. It's not just you can go and visit your friend. We are all in this together. Maybe this is something comfortable. They get comfort in that it's not just them and not allowed to go anywhere. It's everybody.
Yeah.
כולם ביחד באותו מקום, באותה סירה.
Okay, that's helpful.
I'm participating in stuff like this. I mean, it's just nice to see people's faces that I know, and that I don't even see that often in life, in just in regular life. But it's nice to see familiar faces and the rest of our faces from the community. I think it's just terrific to stay in touch online.
Yes.
True. Someone wrote in the chat that they play outside. It says Stephanie Laptop. Okay.
I'm also watching a lot of television.
Yeah, I see that. And I see My Little Monkey watching TV behind you. Yeah, it's a thing that we got to do. We have to sort of stay sane. Okay.
And
But,
fortunately, the weather is good, so we can really be outside. I mean, it's going to get
Right.
nasty. It's going to start raining, and then we're going to really be stuck inside. So take advantage and walk and look around your neighborhood.
Yeah. So what we've been doing is we've just been like going outside and like shooting hoops and stuff like that. So we've had like virtual like guitar and drum lessons. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Does anyone? I says Liev says he loves having digital play dates. Carter Weisberg says he enjoys life. Try a little harder next time, Carter. I'm doing a lot of Hebrew, Becca wants everyone to say. I text my friends on TikTok. I'm so happy Macomb students are on here, Matt says. And then Becca says, this is Molly. This is not Becca, it's Molly. Okay, let's continue with our presentation piece. Great, so how do we do it? This is the slide. We're getting to the slides that I'm most proud of. Ready? Ready? It takes grit.
Oh, jeez.
Grit. Right? Like gritty. See what I did there?
Good music choice too.
Yeah, it's pretty good. First of all, I'm a big Flyers fan. I'm sad that they're not season over. Okay. But no, we're not talking about that type of gritty or grit. We're talking about sort of the stuff that makes people be able to get through difficult moments. Okay? So this is borrowing a little bit from pop psychology. There's a great book from a psychologist named Angela Duckworth called Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance. It's a conversation about what it means to be, it's really the book's about what it means to be like sort of a successful person versus a non-successful person or someone who doesn't really work success. And the difference between a successful person and a non-successful person, according to her, is that a successful person has grit. Great. We're not really talking about success here, but what we're talking about is this idea of being able to persevere. And that's sort of what makes someone successful or not. And of course, I had to pay homage to my friend. According to Dr. Angela Duckworth, grit is a combo of two things, okay? First is passion. What's passion? Raise your hand in the video. What's passion? Okay, Liev.
Like being nice to someone and taking care of them and just like being kind.
So being kind is definitely a good thing to do, but I would not say that that's, I mean, if being kind is your passion, you're an awesome person. You're like a really, really cool person that everyone wants to be friends with and should be friends with, but I'm not sure that that's everybody's passion. So what's your passion? Like can someone give me an example, maybe one of the adults, what is your passion? You can unmute yourself. Okay. Yeah, I unmuted you. Oh, sorry, I muted you because you unmuted yourself.
Teaching Hebrew school is my passion.
Teaching Hebrew school is your passion. It is something that you do because you really like doing it, love doing it. Okay, Mr. Weisberg.
My passion, it's helping people in my life, helping others.
So your passion is helping others. That's awesome. How about helping your family? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, helping my family.
Awesome. Actually, if you raise your hand in the thing, I can see it. That's awesome. So anybody else have a passion? My passion actually is teaching people. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm like, I love doing this and I love teaching for people. Okay, I'm gonna call Maura Matt and then I'm gonna unmute some crazy kids.
You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, that's cool. It's on my phone since my laptop's not connecting to the internet, but my passion is going and hearing world music. I love hearing music live from other parts of the world. It gives me a lot of pleasure to dance. Dancing gives me pleasure and passion.
Yes.
Lily told it. My passion is photography.
It's photography. You really like doing photography. That's awesome. I can't wait to see your pictures. So passion is someone else have a passion? Did I see a hand? Was that Bob or is that just Bob's hand on the camera? Passion is something you really, really like doing. So if you're doing something you really, really like to do, there's a good chance you'll be gritty. And then perseverance. What is perseverance? That's a much longer word, and I think it's a harder word.
Rabbi Andy's Zoom meeting.
Yes, Marcia, mute you. Okay. Perseverance. What is perseverance? What does it mean to persevere? Somebody want to try? Oh, okay. Mr. Weisberg.
It's to persist. It's to try hard.
To try really hard, to persist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to push through.
I think that's like half of it. I think trying really hard is definitely part of perseverance, but I'm not sure it's the be all and end all. I think there's a second part to it, but I think you got the first part down really good. Anybody else want to raise their hand physically, metaphorically, click a thing on their screen? Is that Orit?
Yeah.
when it's hard.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I unmuted you and you unmuted you. I'll stop unmuting people.
Push forward even when it's hard.
So pushing forward even when it's hard, and I'm going to use a word that we don't like to use in American society today, even if sometimes we fail or we mess up, right? This situation that we find ourselves in is not a failure on anybody's part here. It's a failure on the part of society on some level, and we have to deal with it. And the question is, how do we continue to try really, really hard to do the right thing, like Chase told us to do, even though it's really, really hard to do it. So grit is a combination of doing the thing that you love, even though it's hard to do it. Okay, let's see what else. It's the ability to cope and move forward despite adversity, despite difficulty, despite potential failure. And really, I think this big one this last one on the page is the biggest one for all of us today, is despite our lack of control. This is something that is totally out of everyone's control. If Chase could please stop seizing on the, I don't know what's happening, but are you okay? Okay, thank you. So I'm sorry, I'm also trying to do, okay, whoa. So despite a lack of control. Now I'm gonna tell you a story. It reminds me of a story of a gritty rabbi. Now this is the story, of the Rabbi Akiva, the OG gritty. No, the OG gritty. See what I did there? See what I did there? My wife is rolling her eyes at me. Okay. Oh, baby. Okay, so here is the story of Rabbi Akiva. And we're going to first read the story, or read part of the story. And then there's going to be some questions that I'm going to put up here. And if you are with a group of people, then I want you to ask those questions to each other. If you're not with a group of people, I ask that you find someone to do a private chat with or respond to some of the questions in the chat. And you can tell what some of the questions have been rated for different age groups. So some of it's reading comprehension and some of it's ideas. So I really ask that if you're not in one of the younger age groups, you don't answer the reading comprehension questions. You ask some of the harder questions because that's important. So if you need someone to find a chavruta, someone to study with, I'll try to pair those. Raise your hand via the screen. Or you can just think about the questions yourself. But I think it's really, this is an interesting opportunity for us to try to sort of stretch the limits of this technology. So do it with me. So here we go. Rabbi Akiva. So I guess what were Rabbi Akiva's beginnings? It is said up to the age of 40, he had not studied a thing. He was basically illiterate until he was, how old? Rabbi Akiva worked as a shepherd for Kalba Savua, a very rich man. When Kalba Savua's daughter, Rachel, saw that even though Akiva was poor, there was something extraordinary about him, she said, "If I am willing to marry you, to be betrothed to you, to marry you, will you attend a house of study? Will you go learn something?" Rabbi Akiva answered, "Yes." So she married herself to him in secret. When Kalba Savua, who is Rachel's dad, learned what she had done, he drove her out of his house and vowed that she was not to benefit from any of his property. He essentially disowned her. At that, she went off and married Akiva openly. When winter came, they were so poor that they had to sleep in a straw bin. They had to sleep in a barn. Okay, so here are the questions that I'm going to try to figure out how to do this. Here are the questions. Let's see if I can make this smaller. Perfect. And I'm going to ask everyone to sort of take a few moments in your groups, where you're at, wherever you happen to be, and to answer some of these questions. If I see that you're not doing it because half of you are on camera, I'm going to privately message you and see what's going on here. So please, please, please find a chavruta. Don't turn your cameras off, adults. I'm looking at you, Marja. So please, please, please try to take this seriously. This is an opportunity for us to sort of test the limits of what we can do with this technology. So if you need a chavruta, raise your hand. I will find one for you. But please find a chavruta. Okay, the Weisberg boys are doing chavruta together. Yeah, it's totally happening. I just saw you, dude. Come back. And then Mr. Lauenbach, come on. Okay, so let us do it. Come on, get to it. You can read the story again, and you can answer some of these questions. Don't necessarily answer all of them. Just as you know which ones are for your age group. How's that? Or age appropriate for you.
How do we converse if we...
You can, if you click on someone's picture, you can and click on the little bar there, you can actually privately message them. I ask that everyone kind of take this seriously. It's not that easy. You know, I'm not in a classroom. I can't look over your shoulder. This is sort of an honor system. The problem is people have the same facial expression when they're typing and when they're zoning out. So I can't tell what people are actually doing. Becca does not have a partner. Can somebody be Becca's partner? Wait, you're not Becca. Who are you? I can't see. Wait, who needs a partner? She can totally join Naama and you, but I don't need a partner. I don't know how this works. You would have to privately message her. Oh, if Becca and who else is, Stephanie Laptop. I don't know who Stephanie Laptop is. It's a good name. Oh, you're with your parent. That makes sense then. But Stephanie Laptop does need a partner. Stephanie Laptop. That's a great, it's like a good superhero name. Stephanie Laptop. Okay, let's wrap this up in like another 2 minutes, and then we'll come back together and do a little sharing, what you noticed. Oh, Sophia. I thought you're Stephanie Laptop. You're confusing me. You're both? How can you be both? Just okay, let's bring this back together. Does anybody want, why don't we just go through the questions, and if you want to answer the question, raise your hand physically or use the app or whatever. Okay, was Rabbi Akiva rich or poor? Okay. I'm gonna control the unmuting, I think. Okay.
I would like you to unmute your microphone.
Amy, I did it.
All right. So, he was probably poor because he was like essentially a slave. So
He was probably poor because he was essentially a slave. Okay. That is okay.
Well, he worked.
Sophia, did you want to add something to that?
Yes.
Okay.
It said
Sorry.
that somewhere in the text that he was like, they were so poor that they had to sleep in straw bins.
Yeah, they sleep in a barn. That doesn't sound pretty good. Okay. Why did Rabbi Akiva go to learn to become a rabbi? Okay. I'm looking at you guys in my top left corner.
So, he wanted to become a rabbi because he was illiterate and he couldn't read until he was 40. So, yeah.
Okay, so that is a reason to become a rabbi. That works. Okay. Why do you want to become a rabbi? I think it's because his wife told him to do it, right? She said, I'm going to do it for you. Okay. So when did he start learning? We already heard that from Liev. He started learning at 40. What is happening? And I guess the bigger question is, what do you think it was like for Rabbi Akiva to start learning at that age?
Go ahead.
I think it was hard for him because he was like the oldest person in the class but knew nothing.
Yeah. Has anyone ever been in a situation where you're like the oldest person doing something or learning to do something that everybody else already knows?
Yes or no? I think they know.
How does that make you feel? Marcia said, dumb. I'm glad I can read lips there with that. So it makes you feel dumb. It's not a good feeling, is it? I feel embarrassed. Alexis talked about learning how to ice skate. She feels embarrassed.
However, sometimes when you start learning something when you're old because you really want to learn it, you're extra motivated to learn it. And sometimes that motivation makes you a better learner. So it can work both ways.
Yeah, because it doesn't come as necessarily easy to you. I mean, there are stories about Rabbi Akiva literally sitting in the classroom with young children learning his Aleph Bet. You know, so the fact that most of you guys know the Aleph Bet is pretty good. You know, it's pretty good. Okay.
There's no shame in starting from ground zero. I had to catch up to all the other kids who had 3 years extra day school ahead of me, but then I did, and I enjoyed it. If you really put your heart into it, and like you said earlier, your grit and your passion, you can catch up even if you have to start at the beginning.
Yeah, Rabbi Akiva is definitely a spoiler alert. He does become a rabbi, right? Right, that's the spoiler. What do you think that you could have started? I mean, some of us do learn, right? Those things, start new things, depending on what age it is. Can I tell you, I've never learned how to ride a bike. So maybe one of the kids, once this craziness is over, want to teach me how to ride a bike, I will become your learner and you will be my teacher. I promise you, I will scream the whole time. Okay, so, so how do you think this story ends? No wrong answer. Anybody have an idea? I mean,
Nama just taught me that Rachel really believed in her husband and actually sold her hair for money to help him go to school. So I think that their marriage was very strong and she was proud of her husband.
Okay. That's definitely could be the thing. So there is a story that I didn't include of Rabbi Akiva comes back actually to see her, and he hears her selling her hair to support him, and he goes, well, if she's even going to do this, I might as well go, and I'm you know, she's sacrificing so much for me, I have to go back and learn immediately. I don't necessarily know if that's the right boundary setting that we should be encouraging for people in today's world, but the value set was definitely there. Jacob.
We said that it probably ended like pretty well because we're still talking about him. So.
So yeah, the story. So assuming it's that's really good. Occam's razor. Right. The simplest answer might be the answer. Yes, he's a really important rabbi. Very fundamental to the foundation of Judaism as we know it. Actually. In fact, the school that's now called the Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy used to be called the Akiva Hebrew Academy, named after this fella. So yeah, he's a very important guy who lived 2,000 years ago. So Steph, no, so who? Wait, what? This doesn't work. Stephanie Laptop shared that they might turn wealthy. Okay, that could happen. That's like the perfect sort of fairy tale Disney ending that you would expect, right? Okay. Awesome. So let's go to the next slide, right?
I can't get the slides up. Can you help me?
Who is it?
I don't know what the story is, so I'm really not sure. You got him.
I cannot get the slides up.
Can everyone see the slides, or Susan?
Yes. No, I cannot.
Okay. There's something wrong with your camera too. I can't see you. So my suggestion would be to log out and log back in real quick.
The camera is not.
I had the slides before.
Can everyone see the slides? Yeah, I don't know. My suggestion, Susan, would be to log in and log back out. Okay, awesome.
Leave the meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you, Susan. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, she left. Awesome. So my suggestion is that we could break back into our groups and read this story real quick, just with us. Whoever is doing that on my screen, please stop. Kiddos, please stop doing that. I'm trying to teach you. Please stop. It's annoying. Okay, so let us look at how it ends. Okay, if everyone could please read and work in your Kahoot again. I know that it's sort of weird and contrived, but I'm trying to get. I mean, we're trying again, pushing the limits of what's possible with this technology. I would love to see how this works out. Oh, I found my mother. Okay, let's come back together. Raise your hand. Which ending did you like better? Did you get to read both endings? Okay, okay. Marcia votes for one. Okay. Who votes for two? Okay, why does the entire Schubert clan vote for two?
Because it's a lot better for him because, I mean, he still got his he
Like the wealth?
Yeah, he got the wealth, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you guys please stop spamming the chat? That'd be great. Okay. And I can also see who it is, so please stop. Okay. What role did grit play in the story for each of these different characters? So we're going to synthesize these two things. What role did grit play, right? Remember, grit is passion plus perseverance.
You have to have a lot of grit to stay away from your wife for 24 years and of straight studying. Wow, that is an incredible amount of grit.
I think for both of them.
Right.
And for Rachel to be able to live on her own for all these years with no supporter, not her dad or her husband. And for Rabbi Akiva is to keep learning all these years. You know, it's not getting easier to learn from scratch when you're 40. And he became a very big rabbi very fast. So
that's what you call perseverance.
Yeah, that's great, perseverance.
Mm-hmm. So the ability to sort of because what? So perseverance coupled with one thing, right? I just want to make sure.
Passion.
Able to do it. Passion. He loved doing it, right? He was able to do something that he loved doing, even though it was really, really hard. Now, clearly, right, the question of what can we learn from the story sort of persists, right? Because what do we learn? That we need to love doing something and do it with all of our heart and might, even though it hurts everyone? No. We need to, in this situation, especially considering the fact that we're in an unknown and uncharted territory as family units, as sort of a society. The last time anything like this happened was literally 100 years ago. That we need to find things that we're passionate about, that we're able to do, that allow us to stay in society and stay connected, but also stay safe and stay, frankly, sane. Right? We're all going to be stuck wherever we are for probably more time than we want to be. And that's for the betterment of society. And we might be asked to do things to make the world safer by not doing things or by doing something else or something different. We just don't know what's going to happen. And that's really, really hard. It's really, really difficult. Thank you, Bob. That's really, really difficult to do when we lose sight of the big picture. When we say, this is my ultimate reality, whatever that is. But we have to find the moments that allow us to express our passions and to connect and to do the things that matter. So someone started off by saying, I really love photography. Well, now's the time to do photography. Someone said that teaching is really your passion. Well, then we got to figure out ways to make sure that we're still teaching. You know, personally, as the father of two very young and rambunctious boys, I'm excited at the prospect of being stuck in the house with them for an X amount of time. But that being said,
You're making.
But that being said, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to form that connection. We're gonna bond in ways that I wouldn't have if life was just happening at a normal pace. And I think that the grittiness of Rabbi Akiva, the OG or the OIG gritty rabbi, is that he was able to see the big picture overall, right? Why is this happening? Why am I going through this? Why am I putting myself through this? Is ultimately to help other people and to really, and in his case, it was to help other people, because think about how many disciples he had, right? At the end, how many disciples does he have? How many students?
A lot.
48,000.
48,000.
1,000, right.
Close to 50,000. That's a lot. You know, I'm the rabbi of a relatively large, one of the rabbis at a relatively large congregation, and I definitely don't have 48,000 students. So it's pretty interesting to see sort of how that works and how his grit was, and her grit, and sort of their combined perseverance together. They relied upon each other in a way. Listen, this is one of the love stories in Rabbinic Judaism are not the love stories that we get from Disney. This is a classic rabbinic love story. And it's all about self-sacrifice. And it's about the ability to sort of see beyond this moment and why we're doing something. And
Exactly, and to have a goal and to have a purpose in life.
Yeah.
That's very important. And I think when you have a passion and you love what you do, you get a lot of strength from it to go through all the hard times.
And frankly, Naama, and thank you for that. Frankly, this is going to be not the easiest time. You know, this is going to be a hard time. It probably already has been a hard time for a lot of us. And the only thing that we can do sort of as a group is to rely on one another, right? Liev said that he loves what's it called? Group play dates on the computer or something like that, or virtual play dates. Maybe that's what we got to do. And we have to sort of be okay with good enough, right? It wasn't ideal that Akiva wasn't living with his wife, and it wasn't ideal that she had to live in squalor, but they sort of did what they needed to do in order to make themselves and a world a better place. Okay, yes, Stephanie, computer.
Are we gonna do like a Hebrew groups, like with our Hebrew group teachers?
Oh, so that's a question for Naama, and yes, we're working on that.
We're working on it, and your teachers are going to write you an email very soon with all kind of ideas, and we need to make sure our teachers know how to use Zoom, and we will do it in a little bit.
In a little bit. So just skipping ahead, how does it actually end? This is the PG-13 content. So if you have younger children that you don't want to expose them to violence,
oh God,
Rabbi Akiva's story actually ends with grit, but not in a good way. And I think that it's also sort of, it's important for us to note that he was consistent and lived his values throughout his entire life. Naama does not like this story at all.
Yeah. Not now.
Okay, so
the other younger.
Okay, we have some younger kids, so we can do that. But essentially, the last thing that he says as he dies is the Shema. So we're going to end our session tonight with the Shema. But before we actually do that, we have a Kahoot to see what people learned. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. OG Rabbi Gritty. What do we call the character trait that allows us to get through hard times? So I think that's funny. Delusions of grandeur. Someone wrote that. That's funny. Grit, also funny. Schmutz. That's an interesting euphemism for it. But no, it is grit. Awesome. Next. I have to say, though, if you're answering in the chat, your points aren't going to be added. So it's good if you get it right. But yeah. We defined grit as, we defined grit as combo of passion and perseverance, combo of passion fruit and pineapple, combo of persuasion and percussion, combo of ambition and wit. Persuasion and percussion got one, but yes, passion and perseverance. I would have also accepted passion fruit and pineapple because that sounds yummy. Okay. Okay, let's see. Who is the greatest mascot of all time? Very important. Gritty. It's a tie between Gritty and the Fanatic. Mr. Matt or the Fanatic? So yes, all three of those were acceptable, although the truth is, I think it's a tie between Gritty and the Fanatic because Gritty's the Fanatic's, mutant brother. Okay, so let's keep going. Name the OG Rabbi Gritty. Rabbi Google, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Andy, Rabbi Akiva. So the two acceptable answers were Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Akiva because they're the same person, because the Hebrew letter for B and V is the same letter. And Rabbi Google is my rabbi, and Rabbi Andy is your rabbi. Okay, glad we cleared all of that up. Red is definitely, thank you. Shoes. But Matt Man is on fire. Okay, when did Rabbi Akiva learn to read? age 40, age 5, age 50, age 20. Hey, you were paying attention. Age 5. I think that's funny. That's funny. That's funny, whoever wrote that. But no, wrong. He was illiterate till he was 40. Okay. Shubs. Marsha has the highest answer streak of 5. Okay. What was Rabbi Akiva's wife named? Rebecca, Sarah, Leah, or Rachel? Indeed. It was green. It was Rachel. The rest of them were also important women. In fact, this Rachel is not the same Rachel. I just want to make sure everyone knows that. This is not the same Rachel that we talk about, you know, married to Isaac, married to Jacob, rather. This is not the same person. Okay. Where did they live? Rachel's father's mansion, in a barn, in a nice house with a big picket fence at the corner of Union and Beale. No, they lived in a barn. Okay, awesome. Yes, they lived in a barn. Okay. How long did Rabbi Akiva study without going home? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. 48 years, 12 years, or 24 years. I appreciate everyone's honesty. Yes, 24 years. Oh, wow. Mommy K, or Mamik, I don't know how you're pronouncing it. How many students did Akiva bring back with him when he returned? There were 2 right answers. One was 24,000 pairs of students, which if you do the math, I think makes 48,000 students in total. In fact, the original text says 24,000 pairs of students, not 48,000 students. So I did the math for you originally. Okay. Okay. Marsha's creeping up.
Let's
What
go.
were Rabbi Akiva's last words? Rachel, can you please pass the ketchup? Living a life well lived is good. You know it, clap your hands. It was not living a life well lived is good. I made that up. That is nonsense. That is a nonsense sentence. The Shema, the last thing that he said was the Shema. Great. Okay, Marsha's on fire. Bonus question. For how long should you wash your hands with soap and water? So at least 20 seconds. I guess 30 seconds would also have been appropriate, but it's not at least 30 seconds. 30 seconds you're doing it real well. Yeah, you should wash your hands all the time now. That's it might not be your passion, but it's something we all have to do. And it needs to sort of become our communal passion, this hygiene, because it's really, really important for the public health of everybody. Okay. So let's see who won according to this. In 3rd place, Mommy K. In 2nd place, Marsha. And in 1st place, is the roof for the shoes. Alexis' iPhone came in fourth, and David came in fifth. Good job, guys. Good job. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to end by saying the Shema together and the V'ahavta, and I will end by putting on our hand washing video that Rabbi Eric and I made yesterday. We published yesterday of Jewish songs that you can sing while washing your hands. Okay, so let everyone cover your eyes and unmute yourself. Come on in.
I'm unmuted. They don't know if my eyes are covered, Mom. They can't tell if my eyes are covered.
No, I mean tonight, yeah, but not right now.
I have this.
Yeah.
They can't see my face.
Yeah, I do. Okay, ready? 1,
Should I?
2, 3. Shema
Israel,
Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Bye-bye.